section, you would be learning how to frame out some basic questions of the yes-no pattern and questions with simple interrogatives. So, let's get started. When it comes to framing out questions, we would be using a particle called ka. Ka. So, ka is the question particle in Japanese. In English, if we had a sentence like this: Hari is a student. If you have to make this statement as a question, how would you do it in English? It would be, is Hari a student? And it will end with a question mark. Is Hari a student? Question mark. So, we have changed the word order in this to make it sound like a question. Coming to doing this in Japanese, I have taken 3 sentences as examples. Let me read out the first sentence. This is katakana and it is read as Hari. Hari-san wa gakusei desu. Gakusei means student. I've written the meaning on the board here. So, Hari-san wa gakusei desu. The meaning of this sentence is Hari is a student. Let's make this into a question now. To convert a sentence into a question, as I told you, what should you do? Use the question particle ka. And ka, where should you add it in the sentence is the first thing to be answered. Hari-san wa gakusei desu. I will be adding the particle ka at the end of the sentence. And unlike in English, where you will be putting a question mark to denote that it is a question, it is not necessary to do so. Even if I wrote this, it is enough. Whenever you end it as a statement, this in English we call it as full stop. In Japanese, we colloquially call it as maru. So we don't use question marker, we use only maru. Let me read this now. Hari-san wa gakusei desu ka? When I tell this as a statement, look at the way I'm reading this. Hari-san wa gakusei desu. Hari-san wa gakusei desu ka? I will end the sentence in rising intonation if it were a question. Okay, so let me just recollect back what all information I've given about the question particle ka. To make a sentence into a question, you will be adding the question particle ka at the end of the sentence. The word order does not undergo any change. I have not rearranged any word here. And the sentence will end in rising intonation. Using this question pattern, you could make yes-no kind of questions. Like if you want to ask whether a statement is correct or not, you could do that by using this sentence pattern. Let's make the next 2 sentences also as questions now. Yamada-san wa Nihonjin desu. Nihonjin means Japanese. Previously, I had used another word, Indojin, where I had written Indo in katakana and Jin in hiragana. And what was the meaning I told about Indojin? Indian. Nihonjin. Nihon is Japanese and very much it is a Japanese word. So it is not written in katakana but in hiragana itself. Now this word jin is common whether you tell Indojin, Nihonjin. Jin here means nationality. So if I have to tell American, I would tell it as America Jin, Australia, Australia Jin. So Jin, wherever added, it would denote the nationality, the country name with Jin. Making this into a question now. Yamada-san wa Nihonjin desu ka? Yamada-san wa Nihonjin desu ka? Is Yamada-san a Japanese? The last one. Could you try it? I'll pause here for a minute after reading this sentence. Anata wa kaishain desu. You are a company employee. Kaishain means company employee. If I have to break this word, kaisha means company, and in this case, in represents employee. It's not employee is always in, but in this context, in represents employee. So, anata wa kaishain desu. If you have to make this into a question, add the particle ka at the end, and while reading it, you will do it with rising intonation. So let me make this into a question. Anata wa kaishain desu ka? That's it. You've learned how to frame a question. Now let's see how we are going to answer questions of this kind. Questions, I repeat, questions of this type is to check whether a statement is correct or not. So depending on your response, whether you agree to the statement or you don't, your answer will begin with hi. If you are telling yes, that is you are agreeing to the statement. If you don't agree to the statement, that is you want to tell no, then the verb is iie. Iie, no. There is another word, chigaimasu also. I will be talking about the usage later. For now, we will just dwell upon two words, hi or iie. Using this, let's answer these questions. Hari-san wa gakusei desu ka? Is Hari a student? If I have to tell yes, I would be telling hi. Hari-san wa gakusei desu. If I don't agree with this statement, I want to tell no. I would tell iie. Hari-san wa. I am telling not a student. So this has to be made into negative. And how do you do that? Ja arimasen. So I would tell gakusei ja arimasen. Iie, Hari-san wa gakusei ja arimasen. Let's get into this one. Yamada-san wa Nihonjin desu ka? If you agree with it, what will you tell? Hi. Yamada-san wa Nihonjin desu. Iie, Yamada-san wa Nihonjin ja arimasen. So instead of this, you're going to put ja arimasen. Now, in Japanese, if the topic or the subject is understood from the context, you could drop it. So you could omit it if it is understandable. You need not repeat something which the listener already knows. Hence, in this case, coming to this question, even if I told hi, gakusei desu, even then it's understood that Hari-san only we are talking about. So I need not repeat Hari-san wa gakusei desu. I could skip this and just tell hi, gakusei desu. Hari-san wa gakusei desu ka? Iie, gakusei ja arimasen. Even if I skip this, it's okay. Coming to this. Anata wa kaishain desu ka? If you want to skip the subject, answer, how would you do it with hi? Hi, kaishain desu. If you have to tell with no, no, that is Ie kaishainja arimasen. Moving ahead, got it? So for yes no questions we answer this time. Before I get into interrogative words, there is one other point I want to cover here. When I told Hari, I have added a suffix called san. Literally, if I have to translate in English, it is only Hari. But I have added san to it. Yamada, I have added the word san here. So let me talk about what this san means here. It's a very common word which we use while talking to someone. Whenever you refer to another person's, whether it is the listener to whom you're talking or any other third person, you would not call the person's name as such, but you should attach a name suffix to that person's name. That's the way you show respect to the other person. So when it comes to name suffix, there are a couple of name suffixes, and depending on the relationship you share with the person, the age of the person, you should decide what suffix to use. Commonly, the suffix used is san. I repeat, san. Irrespective of gender, in English, if the equivalent of san I could tell, or a name suffix, I could tell it is Mr., Mrs. or Miss. So in this case, you have to know whether it is male or female to attach the suffix. Then you may also have to know the marital status in case of female to attach the suffix. But that's not the case here. Irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the marital status, if you have to know the easiest name suffix, you don't know what to use the word san. So, this san should always be put after the name of the person. Unlike in English, if you have to tell Hari, you would tell Mr. Hari. It will be a prefix. But in this case, it will be added only after the name of the person. Hari-san, Yamada-san, Raji-san. San is at the end. For your knowledge, if you want to know what are the other suffixes like this, they are kun. It's read as kun. Kun is generally used for male friends or male students. When you address, you will attach the suffixes kun. Chan. Whenever you're calling young children, generally 10 to 12 years old, you could attach the word chan. And if you want to be very polite, probably when you're talking to your, top authority boss or to your customer, you would be attaching the suffix as sama. Sama is generally very polite, so you would check before you use sama, but by default, for now, you learn it that the one name suffix that should be there in your mind is this san. Okay? Next thing to be remembered in specific to Japanese is when it comes to the word I. What is the equivalent word for this in Japanese? Watashi. You. The word is anata. Okay? I is watashi. You is anata. If I have to talk to the other person, in any case, if I have to tell you, anata, for example, anata wa kaishain desu ka? I want to ask the other person, are you a company employee? Anata wa kaishain desu ka? Generally, anata is not the word used. It's kind of not polite to tell someone as anata. Instead of anata, you would preferably use the person's name attached with the word san. if you know the person's name. In case you really don't know the person's name, in that case, maybe you could decide to use anata. But preferable to know the person's name and person's name followed by san. Okay? Second thing. Now when it comes to person's name in Japan, people have two parts to their name. One is their family name. Other is the given name. In India we call it as surname and name. So the family name and given name. Whenever you're addressing to the person, you would generally not use the first name or the given name. You would address the person by their family name. So, the family name followed by san, that is the way of calling another person. So, in this case, let's take, I am asking the other person, his name is Tanaka, the W, that's the family name. How? So, there are a lot of interrogative words in Japanese too. Wow. But for now, I'm only going to introduce this is the right way, a better way of putting this sentence. What is so none. This was our small understanding on the name suffix. Who? Moving ahead into the question discussion. Dore. Dore. Interrogative words. Interrogative words, by this what I mean is the English equivalent of what, when, who, where. There are many interrogative words in Japanese, but for now I would like to introduce just two words, and they are what and who. What is none and who is dare. Dare. A polite form of telling dare is donata. Just know the word, but for now I'll only be using dare. More polite form is donata. So dare is an interrogative word. Let's frame a sentence using dare. In English, if I have to frame out the question, who is that person? This is the question. And the answer also I'll write down. That person is Hari. Let's frame this in Japanese. First, what I will do is I'll frame out the statement, that is the answer, and then we will try framing out the question. Because you don't know vocabulary so much of Japanese, I'll be giving the respective vocabulary. Let me see whether you are able to frame out the sentence here. That person, the word is anohito, means that person. Hari, you know nothing about it. So that person is Hari. It's a statement. So how to frame out a question, statement? The rules in Manva, into this, in that pattern we will try this. What is the topic here? Is it this or is it this? Topic. Topic is this one. So, the sentence has to begin with topic. Let me write the topic. Anohito. Whenever you want to make a noun into a topic, the noun has to be followed by the particle wa. This is the topic marker. Anohito wa. Let us give information about this topic. Anohito wa dash dash this. It has to end with this because it is a statement. Hari. Hari is someone else, and when you are calling someone else, you can't just tell Hari, you have to attach the name suffix, and that will be san. For now, we are not going to see application of the other name suffixes. Let's just stick to san. Ano hito wa Hari-san desu. This is a statement. Now, let's make this into a question. Step by step we'll go. There's no hurry to make it in the first single attempt to get the question right. We are just learning here. Ano hito wa Hari-san desu. To make it into a question, first thing we do is we will be adding the question particle ka. And you need not put a question mark. You can just end it with the maru. Ano hito wa Hari-san desu ka. But here we do not know the name of the person. We are not telling, is he Hari-san? That's not our question. Our question is, who is that person? Who? And who word is dare. Now dare, where are we going to put it? Are we going to change the word order? No. To make a statement to a question, word order does not undergo a change. It's the same. Only thing is, wherever the answer is supposed to come, we will be putting the interrogative word. What I mean by that? Check here. Ano hito wa. I will remove this because I don't know this information at that point of time. Ano hito wa dare desu ka? Ano hito wa dare desu ka? Who is that person? The answer will come as Ano hito wa Hari-san desu. Understood? If I have to make this sentence sound more polite, how would I frame this out is, instead of hito, ano kata. Ano kata wa donata desu ka? Ano kata wa donata desu ka? This is a more polite form of hito and dare. Whenever you write donata, you can't write ano hito wa donata desu ka. No, because if you make this sound more polite, even this has to be equally polite. Okay, so interrogative, I've just given you one simple form. Many other question type with interrogative word we will be seeing in the forthcoming lessons. So, to wrap up, in this section what have we learnt? Framing out questions. Two type of question pattern. One is this yes-no question pattern and the other one is questions with interrogatives. To make any statement into a question, all you have to do is sentence plus ka is added at the end. No change in word order. But when you tell it, it should be in rising intonation. There should be a difference in the way you speak out that. The intonation has to change. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you have to frame out questions with interrogative words, in that case it would be enva. And then the interrogative will be placed and the sentence will end with ka. For example, this is N1. So, ano hito wa, interrogative and then ka. This is the second pattern of question framing. And in between, we also understood about the name suffix. The only name suffix which I want you to remember now is san. So whenever you tell the other person, the listener, that is the other person who I'm talking to, or any third person, his name should be attached with the suffix san. One last thing which I want to tell before I close out this section. If someone asks me my name, I would tell Watashi wa Varsha desu Or even if you drop Vatashiva, it's okay, you can tell Varsha this. In that case, I can't tell Varsha san this. I can't attach the suffix san to my own name. It will be wrong. Attaching san to any other person's name is okay, but not to your own name. And if you know the person's family name, preferable to use family name. Because if you use the given name or the first name, you generally use it only when you are really close to the person. So depending on the social distance, you should decide whether you would go for the family name or whether for the given name. Okay?